Righty, so we're going to be breaking down Randy Brown versus Alex Cowboy Oliveira. So Randy Brown coming in with a 4-inch height advantage, let's just say 2-inch reach advantage. But both these guys, very long, they fight very long. So yeah, let's break down the striking of these two. Alright, so we know Alex Oliveira, we know his style, he comes in with that karate stance. He's been using it in the UFC for a while, his light in his feet, his hands are low, he has that wide base. And yeah, generally most of his offense comes from that right hand side. So, if he's versing a southpaw, he's going to go for that body kick or the teep, or either stance his opponent's in, he's going to try to land that right hand. And one of his best punches is that slide back and then the counter two, which he has done a lot of damage in the UFC with. But in general, yeah, his striking isn't too hard to break down. But yeah, he uses that outstretched lead hand to gauge distance and kind of discourage opponents from closing distance. But generally, he looks to keep a good amount of distance and keep a fair bit of range between his opponents. For Randy Brown, he looks to come forward. He has quite good head movement in boxing range. He's constantly flicking out the jab. It kind of allows him to be confident of where his opponent is. He's got very good volume on the jab, gets a lot of points up like that. One thing Randy Brown can do is that he'll lean back to his right to avoid the right overhand or the right straight from an orthodox opponent. And even sometimes he'll put his jaw kind of horizontal to kind of use his peripheral vision to see where his opponent, because he's leaning back so far, he has to use his peripherals to see where his opponent is, and it's just not a good thing to do if you're going to square your jaw against someone. Yeah, it's just a recipe to get knocked out cold. But also his hands drop every time he throws a punch. He'll just drop his hands and then bring them up, quite later on. Another thing Cowboy Oliveira does is that after he extends on his right hand, he can square his stance, and that kind of leads his opponents to get easy access to his hips and, look to control him on the mat, which is where he's lost a lot of his fights. So that's something Randy Brown will probably be looking at. He will get on the body lock and then use that body lock to kind of push his opponent back, either take him to the fence or look for that outside leg trip. You saw that, a really good example of that was in the Luque fight. He got a really nice trip on Luque. When he's on bottom, he has an aggressive guard. He'll look for leg locks. He'll look for up kicks. This can lead to his guard getting past quite easily, just because that his opponent can just stack him and pass to side control. But that's just what he goes for on the ground. So for Alex Oliveira, his hands low type of style that he has on the feet kind of helps him because it allows him to get underhooks easy. And he has pretty good takedown defense. When he's not tired, he has, he can get the underhooks, he can get his opponent off him, but generally when he's tired, his takedown defense kind of falls apart. And he will go for takedowns of his own. He can stall, on the fence when he's attempting a double leg. It can be defended quite easily. It can also be reversed. You saw Dolby hit the reverse on him a few times, hit the switch. But yeah, on the ground as well, he can try and take the back a little too hastily and end up in a worse position than he started, i.e. bottom. But yeah, so yeah, these guys on the mat, that's what they are. So how these guys win? For Cowboy, he's got very sharp counters with his straight right. He's also got good takedown defense early in fights. For Randy Brown, he uses his length well. He's got a nice jab. He also uses his length well in the clinch. He goes to the body lock a lot, which is obviously one of his, which is obviously the type of takedown that you want to see him going for with those, long ass arms that he can have, really good success with. Also, his cardio is really good. He's got good pacing. He definitely has the cardio advantage over Cowboy, because yeah, that's pretty much how Cowboy, loses late in fights. He does slow down pretty much in every fight in the third round, late second. He has poor pacing, goes pretty hard in the first round, uses really energy depleting techniques, especially in grappling fights. He'll gas really quickly, but in general, yeah, just bad cardio. And, he doesn't even have high volume. Like, he has pretty low volume on the feet, and he'll still, gas out. But yeah, also Cowboy's guard can be passed pretty easily, same as Randy Brown's. But Randy Brown on the feet, he doesn't check leg kicks. He has really thin legs as well, so it's quite a target for his opponent. But also he can be a little too comfortable off his back, and also that guard that he employs on his back, it's that aggressive guard. That aggressive type of guard, he can be stacked and passed pretty easily. So yeah, pass to victory for these two. For Cowboy Oliveira, go for leg kicks. Luke had so much success with them, so yeah, might as well try it. Also leg kick feints, just to kind of slow the pace of the fight and also the pressure that Randy Brown's going to be coming with, most likely. But also just try and get his respect early. Don't let him, walk you down and get a rhythm. For Randy Brown, look for the teeps to the body. Look for leg kicks, because, Cowboy's in that wide stance. It's going to be hard for him to check those leg kicks. It's hard for him to lift that lead leg. But also just pressure, clinch him up if it's necessary, and look for some offense there. But also just, make sure you're always going forward. Look to blitz him. Look to land that body lock trip while he's looking for a counter. So when he's looking for the counter, duck under to get on his hips, and then you can either go for the double leg from there, or you can lock up the body lock and then look for that trip that you hit on Luke. But just at distance, teeps, body kicks, just trying to drain that cardio of Cowboy Oliveira. Right, so how I see this one going, like both these guys have, they're both good at using their length, and they both rely on that to kind of win a lot of their fights. So first round will be really interesting to how Randy Brown comes out. Is he going to come in with a grappling heavy game plan, or is he going to come in with a forward pressure game plan? It'll be interesting because Oliveira is very sharp in the first round, so it's going to be interesting to see. But yeah, Oliveira probably wins round one just by catching Brown coming in, shooting those teeps, those body kicks, just in that southpaw versus orthodox stance. But yeah, I think Brown gets him down eventually and just kind of out-volumes him for the next 2 rounds, which is pretty typical Cowboy Oliveira fight, win the first round, lose the last 2. But I think that's just going to happen again. That's just what I could see happening. But I'm not too confident either side, to be honest. But yeah, we'll look at the betting lines anyway. Alright, so yeah, I think the line's about correct. I think it should be around 55-45 in favour of Randy Brown. I don't mind anyone taking a stab on Alex Oliveira. I think he does win the first round a good chunk of the time. And if he can, feint and just slow Randy Brown down so he's not pressuring him, and I think he can win the second round. Definitely. I could see that coming. But I do think Randy Brown starts pressuring, starts putting up the volume more in round 2, starts realizing what he needs to do after listening to his corner's advice and all that kind of stuff. But the go to decision line, I think, is a little bit... I think it should be a lot... lower. It's minus 155 right now, or $1.65. I think it goes to the decision around 75% of the time. Alex Oliveira, very durable, but, pretty low volume, so he's not going to be hunting. He's not hunting for the finish. He does have a bit of power, but, Randy Brown, if he can withstand that, I don't think Randy Brown's going to finish Oliveira. So, yeah, I do think it goes to decision a good chunk of the time, around 75%, so I think there's a little bit of value on the go to decision line. That's probably what I'd play in this fight.